They're clowns. Is it clear?
Welcome back to the show.
I got to learn all the words. I mean, that is one of the great songs. So I love that. It's outstanding. You
got the American Adversaries Drive Time Primetime Show, where nowhere else will you get the bump music that you're going to get on our show.
You want your own DJ here.
Thank you, Nicholas Cicero, for running that through for us. 407-774-8255 is the number as we get ready for our Spaghetti Challenge weigh-in. The contestants are beginning to show up today. And by the way, not all of them can be here, obviously. And it wasn't required that they be here. But the ones who are here, we're going to introduce to you.
They're going to be big, Chris.
That's right.
Physically big. And they're going to be bigger when it's over. We have to have a way out. You know what I mean? In other words, you start at like 6:15. You know, we lay out the first plate, a few meatballs and everybody, and then after they've had 4 or 5 plates, then let's see where we weigh now.
4 or 5.
Maybe we could go, whoever gained the most weight wins.
Those are pretty big plates they have now.
Yeah.
All right.
That's going to be awesome.
That is Mike McMath, Chairman of the Board. And we also have in the studio with us David Levitt, candidate for Florida House. I am Christopher Hart, and we are back up on the Pariscope.
Bang, bang!
The head cam is up and running. What's our channel again?
That would be Adversaries TV on YouTube.
Adversaries TV on YouTube.
Hey, Chris, I had that $200 gift certificate.
Oh, that's right.
That's
great.
Yeah,
absolutely great. So this is
that's
not
part of the
just
prize pack.
fun competition. This is for money.
That's right. That's right.
So,
yeah.
Dave, that's great. Now you're going to be there, right, Dave?
I'm going to be there.
Yep.
Definitely. I'll have.
You look like you've trimmed down.
He's going to be one of the judges.
Well, I'm actually on a program, so I hope.
See this? He's probably down 5-6 pounds. So let's see if we can put him on that night.
Right. That's why when you were looking at me the other week, I said, "No, don't look at me."
Well, you look well-rounded to me the other week, Dave, but now you're styling and profiling.
Styling and profiling. All right, I want to get back to the Pope first. That's not why we played Bring in the Clowns. That's for the politicians. We'll get to them here in a few minutes, the career politicians and others. And maybe I'm being picky with the Pope, and certainly he said things that we can all agree with. He said things that the right would agree more with than the left, and he said things that the left would agree with more. But yeah, I just if he's going to, for instance, say life should be protected from beginning to end or at every stage. He actually said life should be protected at every stage of human development. We can all agree with that, I think. Now, liberals would, I think, have a problem with that statement because he says every stage of human development. So whether you believe that a fetus is a viable human being or not, you have to recognize that that is a stage of that development. But of course, they would argue that it's not a human being at that moment. So he could maybe have been a little bit more specific. But I guess what bothered me about that was he asked for an end to the death penalty. And if you folks have been listening to this show for a long time, you know that I'm not a big fan of the death penalty.
Either.
There are many cases. There are many cases when a lot of people have been falsely convicted of crimes only to be exonerated later on. Too many. And plus, I just don't like the idea of putting the power of life and death in the state's hands.
That's the guy.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Exactly. Now, I'm tempted to go along with it when you got guys like the bomber in Boston. Maybe there is a place for it. But the point I wanted to make with this, if he is going to be consistent with his statement that life should be protected at every stage of human development, and he's going to call for the death penalty, the question that popped into my mind was this. How many people do we execute a year here in the United States of America?
I guess 200.
Not that. Yeah. I mean, Texas, I believe, executes the most. And but, here in Florida, they're very rare. So let's just say 200. How many babies are aborted in a single day here in the United States? You see, I just feel like he could have focused a little bit more on that end of it as well.
The answer is 900
a day.
Yeah, it is 900. It's on our favorite network.
OAN, One American News.
Yeah, 900 a day are aborted.
Right. So
900 deaths.
Yeah. It was it was a Pope-like speech today in the House. I just, if he's going to call for the end of the death penalty, in my opinion, he needs to call for the end of abortion as well. And maybe I'm being nitpicky, but that's you know.
I would think abortion.
Well, like I said, how many people do we execute a year? And how many people do we abort in one day? And they are people. And he didn't say anything, and I didn't expect him to, but it would have been nice if he would have at least alluded to respect, even for those that we do abort, and that we don't carve them up into pieces and sell the pieces off in the name of research.
No, Chris, in the Bible, there is this eye for an eye, right?
In the Old Testament.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you're right.
No, I mean, I'm serious.
You're right. That's exactly
when
what
I talk about,
yeah.
The death penalty.
Yeah.
I envision, unfortunately, when we see these heinous murders where, it's absolute who the person is. They torture the people, they burn them alive. You don't think they should die?
Well,
I mean, I have no dinner and pushing the button. And I mean that. You know what I mean? Because there is a point. And I thought I remembered, because I did do a lot of Christian training as a youth, I do remember that phrase, eye for an eye.
Tooth for a tooth.
And again, we all should be forgiving, but you know what? When you're that bad a person, it's time to say goodbye. Yeah. And it's just like with ISIS. Did you see that the other day, which I'm sure we talked about, when they hung those men upside down, then they drew a path, they put powder on the path, they lit the path, and it just lit their faces on fire and their bodies and killed them all. Right. Now, would you have trouble putting those people to death?
Not a bit.
I was going to say, bring them over.
Yeah, that's
what I mean. That we have to differentiate, and they never do. They try to say, well, that's a different style. And I do agree with DNA testing and all that, if we don't have concrete. But some of them are bad people. Bye-bye.
Yeah. And
if you have to put these people to death to prevent the deaths of others, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
right.
I'm just saying. We can't be having double standards from the Pope. That's the last place we need to have double standards come from. And if he's going to step into these things, and calling for the end of the death penalty is a political stance, calling for end of abortion is also a political stance. So it's not as though he could go one place, but he couldn't go the other. Yeah, if he's going to go the one place, he should go the other.
The political stance, but it shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't be. It should be a religion.
But once again, though, if he's going to be preaching, if he's going to be sermonizing about the sanctity of life, then he should at least extend that to when life begins.
You would have thought.
I would have thought.
Without even a doubt.
Well,
Hey, Chris, another question I have for you. Maybe you can answer this for me. If the Pope would have leaned the other way on global warming, okay, right. and an example of this abortion situation. Now, do you think our friendly, the giddy, happy, liberal left today, do you think they might have considered possibly taking the tax status away from the Catholic Church? If he would have leaned the other way?
If he would have leaned...
I'm serious. If you know the games that are played.
Oh, yeah.
We're fed up. We can't believe we allow somebody like that from outside this country come in here and start putting some...
Yeah. Well, I think that the fact that this Pope is presenting this face of Catholicism is not by accident. I think that the cardinals who selected this Pope have become disenchanted with the last Pope. And I don't know how all that works because I'm not a Catholic, but I got a feeling that the last Pope was kind of asked to step aside, and they chose this Pope because they wanted a Pope with more, for lack of a better word, mass appeal. And that's what he has. He has mass appeal. But it's not the kind of mass appeal that John Paul II had. John Paul II started revolutions, right? In Poland and throughout the Soviet bloc. As a matter of fact, the three people who were most responsible for the fall of the Soviet Union are John Paul II, Ronald Reagan, and Maggie Thatcher. And so what we are seeing here, I believe, is that this Pope's task is to bring the Catholic Church back into the quote-unquote the mainstream. The problem with that is it's up to the Catholic Church to lay down the moral foundations that the mainstream should conform to. Not the church conform to the mainstream. It's backwards.
So he was brought in to be the cool punk.
Right. Exactly. And you can't be cool if you're against global warming.
Yeah.
And believe me, they knew where this guy stood on all these issues before they ever even selected him. So the Cardinals wanted this because they were afraid, and maybe rightfully so, that the Catholic Church was going to fade away. And this is their way of trying to prevent that.
Well, this was certainly putting on a new face.
I would have gone back to basics, but that's just me. All right, going back to basics, let's go back to some political basics. The new Quinnipiac poll out, and Trump is still on the top on the Republican side. He's at 25%. This is a nationwide poll. Let's see, what would the liberal media, how would they phrase this? He has collapsed 3 points.
Absolute blowout.
He has collapsed from 28 to 25, which is actually still within the margin of error. Ben Carson moved up 5 to 17. Carly moved up 7 to 12. Jeb moved up 3 to 10. And Marco Rubio moved up 2 points, and he's still nipping at Jeb's heels at 9%. Ted Cruz stayed the same at 7%. So the liberals would like to have us believe that Donald Trump is now, he's fading away, he's going to go away. This is the collapse that they have all been predicting for so long now. But if you look at the numbers, yeah, he may be down 3 in this poll, but let's see, if we count the others and their numbers up, we got 5, 12, 15, they're up 17 total. He's down 3, they're up 17. So they're not taking it out of his hide. They're taking their gains out of somebody else's hide. And it is the rest of the establishment.
You know, and Farina, now I heard a great story on Farina. Think about this. What they're trying to do to beat her up is say, well, she took a severance pay of $56 million and she did this and she did that. But what they all have to remember is the board of directors were the people that hired her and fired her, and they're the ones who paid her. So they're saying, well, you know how they try to liberal left go, well, you know, she stole money from the workers and she did. Wait a second. She didn't make any of those decisions. And the reality of why did they hire her, you know, because it was a sinking economy. How would you, Chris, like to be hired to run oil? You know, you got hired 3 months ago to run an oil company that was struggling a little bit. You come in, you're a big star at a major corporation, oil tanks, it goes from 100 to 50, right. Therefore your revenues get cut in half, now you're over leveraged, you've got a problem. Is it because you're inept? No. So, you know, I think she's going to be able to put up a good defense before it's over.
Well, yeah,
but you know they're going to bring in the people with the tearjerkers. He laid me off, and I lost my 5 houses and my 10 kids. And
well, I got a problem with her, but it has nothing to do with any of that. Right. My problem with her is that she's not an outsider. The more I find out about the woman, is the more I'm convinced that she is a part of the establishment. And capable as she is still a part of the establishment. So, as I said, I'm going to quit describing her as an outsider. But having said that, amongst the establishment candidates, I think that she and Rubio have the most going for them.
Yeah, I would. If we had to bet
of the establishment types,
I would go with those two.
Yeah. All right, we got to go to a break. When we come back, we'll have some other poll numbers, and yeah, we'll get to the Rich Lowry thing. We're not going to. We can't go without talking about that. That's too. What's the word I should use here? Juicy, choice,
salacious. That sounds like it.
All right, we'll be back. Don't go away, please.